Well, Philly Hoops is a different breed. The Big Five Classic tipping off today with Villanova and St. Joe's, a series between the two, known as the Holy War. Dating back to 1921, the Wildcats have won 11 matchups in a row before losing 78-65 just last November. The victory over Villanova last season helped St. Joe's win under their new Big Five format, which also includes Temple, LaSalle, Drexel, and Penn. But take a look at it. These are the two pods and how this tournament will run. As I mentioned, Nova and St. Joe's will get us going Friday, St. Joe's at Penn, and then Penn at Villanova. On the opposite side in Pod 1, you get Drexel and Temple, my alma mater. Tonight at 7, LaSalle and Drexel, and then Temple running it back with LaSalle on November 30th. All right, for more on the Big Five Classic, the coach, Steve Lappas, here to give us a 4-on-1 on what to watch tonight when we talk about the Big Five. And before we get into it, Coach, just give me your thoughts on the new format and the programs once again set to tip off.
Well, you know, it's something they kind of needed to do. They were struggling with the attendance at some of these games. You know, in the old days, you'd have a doubleheader. All four teams would be in one place. You'd have the fans of four schools there. But then when, you know, Villanova built their pavilion and Temple built their place, they wanted to have games on campus. So it's evolved into something different. So I think this is a great idea. It was well attended last year, the finals, the last 3 games at the Wells Fargo Center. And I think this is kind of an interesting way. And it includes Drexel in there, who is the 6th school in Division I. So I think it worked out well for the first year. We have to see as time goes on.
Taking a look at the new format and how this all shakes out for all the schools you just mentioned there, of course, 6 Philadelphia area teams there. Top 3 pods there, 2 of the top 3 pods there. December 7th, 5th and 3rd championship games will be held in Wells Fargo Center right there in the heart of North Philly. Can't wait to see that. But, Coach, let's start at your old stomping grounds of Nova. And then, of course, taking on St. Joe's. The Hawks coming in with this one, some bragging rights, as I mentioned, taking that W last year. Meanwhile, the Wildcats kind of rebound from that Columbia loss we saw last week. A lot of people saying, uh-oh. How do you see these two kind of matching up here?
You know, it's hard to have a game that's early in the year like this. I mean, we're talking November 12th. That's really a big game for both teams. And it's big because they both took losses that they didn't think they were going to take. St. Joe's lost to Central Connecticut on Friday. Villanova, as you talked about, Brandon, lost to Columbia last week. That was a bad loss. So right now, neither one of these teams needs to take another loss. It probably would be a worse loss for Villanova because, you know, they're Villanova and they can't afford to take these losses. Whereas, you know, you got to feel like, even though Villanova will have some other opportunities, obviously, to get good wins, I think right now they really need it. But if you ask Billy Lang at St. Joe's, he's going to say they really need it too. And the truth is, the Atlantic 10, if they want to get multiple teams into the NCAA tournament, these are the kind of games that the league needs to win. You know, last week VCU beat Boston College. That was an important win for the league. So as far as the Atlantic 10 goes, St. Joe's beating Villanova would really help.
When we talk about this tournament early in the season, for a long time, Villanova has reigned king. We saw that 29 titles there, 17 outright. They've been the top dogs. What about this program and the pride, and maybe when it comes to this classic, have you noticed about them?
You know, I'm not saying the Big Five at one point was unbelievably big. And I think what's happened is this evolution, which obviously caused the change in the format. You know, I don't know if the kids are quite as excited about Big Five games as they used to be. It used to be such a huge deal. So I'm not knocking the Big Five. I'm glad it's still able to be around in some form. And I also think that dominance that Villanova had over those last, you know, prior to the last year, the dominance they had for like 10, 12 years, you know, which is that what made the Big Five so good was that you always felt like any team, no matter what kind of year they were having, could win the game in the Big Five. But what happened was Villanova dominated the thing for so many years, and I think that contributed to losing a little of its luster.
Coach, you see there, I think the players and even alumni myself as a Temple Owl, we still take it serious, just so you know, back in the day. It still rains. I will be tapped in there. I want to get your players to watch, starting with Nova. Eric Dixon, what about him?
Well, he's been unbelievable. You know, he's only played 2 games. The first game he had to sit out for a suspension, and he's been phenomenal. I mean, the guy's averaging 27 points a game. He's shooting 70% from the field. He hasn't really, he's not missing a shot. He goes inside, he goes outside. He's averaging 10 rebounds a game. He has been, I mean, he's a first-team All-Big East player, and he has definitely come out of the gate here showing what he's all about. And then you have, also for them is Wooga Poplar. You see Eric Dixon's stats up there on the screen. And then they have the transfer from Miami. Wooga Poplar has been very, very good also this year so far. So, he can shoot the ball from three. He's also a very, very good athlete. He can get to the rim. He's a good rebounder. So he's also a big part of what they do. So a lot's going to depend on those two guys. I think the biggest problem they have, and then you see Eric Longino there, who has not started the year out great. Jameer Brinkus, their point guard, very important guy, transfer from LaSalle. The problem for them is he's the only point guard they really have in the program. So if he goes out of the game, then they're going to really struggle. So I think they're still trying to find themselves, all these new guys. That's kind of the way it is in college basketball.
Yeah, exactly. And overlook, they have two problems when it comes to the Hawks that they'll have to deal with. But St. Joe's, they have one in themselves, and Eric Reynolds. What have you seen from him here?
Yeah, first team All-Atlantic 10 player, one of the best three-point shooters in the country, one of the best three-point shooters in the history of St. Joe's. He's fifth all-time in St. Joe's in made three-pointers. So he's long, athletic. He can really shoot it. Now, he had a rough game against Central Connecticut. He made his first three and then missed 10 in a row, which was a big reason why they lost. So they need him to get back on board here and play the way that he's capable of playing, but a tremendous scoring guard without a doubt.
I had a chance to watch him last year against LaSalle, and he's one of those guys that has formed into a leader, and we're seeing it here in the highlights. Can't wait to see when those two tip off. As always, Coach, before I let you go, I need to know, and the folks at home, best place to get a cheesesteak in Philly. I want you to be honest now.
Well, I'm going to be honest. I know we got Pat's, we got Geno's, but I live in Westchester. Okay. There's a place called the Pepper Mill up here that has a tremendous cheesesteak. Now, people would say, "What? That's not Pat's, not Geno's." I'm telling you, it's a really good. But you're not going to come all the way to Westchester. If you're going to a game at St. Joe's tonight, you're not coming to Westchester to get a cheesesteak. But if you ever do, it's a good place to go.
People will travel for games, and they will travel for food as well. Steve Lappas, as always, appreciate your time, Coach.
Thanks for having me, Brandon.
Absolutely. Hey, don't forget the game tonight at 5 p.m. as we mentioned between those two. Can't wait to see it. The Big Five Classic kicking off there, Villanova and St. Joe's. I mentioned, of course, the Hawks. They got the win last year over Nova before the 11 straight by the Wildcats. You'll see that tonight on CBS Sports Network and also on the CBS Sports app.